All right, so if you decided to come on down to Florida and you want to do some camping, for this week's video, we're going to talk to you about RVing in Florida. One thing you need to know about Florida, if you don't already, is Florida runs on tourist dollars, be it summer or winter. Winter time in Florida is a highly desirable time to be here. It's warm, typically days are in the 70s or 80s, and it's just kind of a nice place to spend the winter and get out of the snow and the ice and the frozen tundras that are up north. So with that being said, what you need to know is that Florida has a plethora of RV parks and destinations. So we're going to talk about a few of those today.
We want to talk to y'all about 7 places you can stay in Florida. I would say the #1 place to stay in Florida would be the state park system.
Florida just has an abundance of natural setting state parks that are enjoyable and very, very affordable. If you're coming in the wintertime, most of the state parks are going to require a reservation several months in advance.
Neat thing is you can actually make your reservation at the Florida State Parks 11 months in advance.
They have a new system for 2022. They used to be under Reserve America, but they're not anymore. The new system is a little bit more difficult to navigate, and also new for this year, the Florida State Parks will be charging you $7 a day utility fee on top of your normal camping fee to stay in the Florida State Parks. However, since your average state park is roughly $20 to $25 a day, it's still a huge bargain.
And it's the first increase they've had, I think, since 2009. But it is good to be flexible. I mean, if you absolutely want to get into one particular park, maybe just 2 nights will do the trick for you.
That's true. Most of the sites are level. Most of the sites are water and electric. It's very important that you know the length of your RV, as some of the sites are very short, 20 feet or 25 feet. You're certainly not going to get an A-class in there. So you need to pay attention to those. This is part of navigating that new system. It's a little bit tricky to do, and I can't really tell you how to do it other than if you find an opening for a site, you can then say, yes, I want to book that site, and then it will tell you about that site before you actually pull the trigger and make that reservation.
Right, and if you have questions, it's really good that you can actually call the rangers at the park and they can help you. We actually had to do that.
The next choice, at least in our opinion, is going to be, believe it or not, county parks and city parks. A lot of these are just small little campgrounds, well maintained, run by the county or the city. Most of them have at least partial hookups, electric and water. They have bathhouses that are usually very clean and well kept. Some of them have full hookups, such as for instance, Markham Park over in Sunrise, Florida, outside of Fort Lauderdale.
Yep. And if they don't, the prices are either free, maybe as much as $15, which is practically free.
Exactly. Very affordable camping in the county parks.
Yeah. #3 is the national parks. Of course, everyone knows about the Everglades, and we have a video about that. We stayed at Flamingo, really nice campground.
Flamingo Campground down in the Everglades. Once you cross through the entry gate to Everglades National Park, you drive 35 miles straight through the Everglades to get to that campground. But if you're looking to experience true Florida as it was, you certainly should look into doing that. We do have a video on that. I think we can post that for you guys to see where that is.
Also, their national forest. And we've stayed in the Ocala National Forest at Salt Springs, which is a great park.
Absolutely. Once again, these parks may have full hookups, maybe dry camping, maybe partial hookups. You just kind of have to research those for yourself. Almost all the parks that we're talking about today are big rig friendly. They can handle rigs well up to 40 feet, no problem.
All right, so you want to RV in Florida. You've looked at the state parks, the county parks, and the national parks. You also want to think about memberships. There's several memberships. There's the 1,000 Trails and Florida has 41,000 trails parks. And we're here in Fort Myers, and we actually have 4 of those parks down here. Now, besides 1,000 Trails, which you can research tons about that and all those rules.
Right. We also have the Encore parks that are attached to 1,000 Trails for a little more money. On your membership, you can stay in the Encore parks as well.
Yep. Other memberships you might want to consider if you want to RV in Florida, and that is Boondockers Welcome and Harvest Host. There are several of those located all through the state.
Okay, our next one that we want to talk about, if you are active military or retired military, is the military fam camps. There are several military bases here in Florida. Many of them have a fam camp. Ones that are coming to mind are MacDill Air Force Base up outside of Tampa and Sigby Island down in Key West. So if you are connected to the military in any way, you're able to use those parks as well.
Yep. Of course, there's others, like out at Pensacola. We stayed at a really small one in the center of the state.
Waldo.
Yes.
Outside of Waldo, Florida.
Yep.
There was a tiny little fam camp on this little air reserve base in the middle of the state.
And it had a really good dog park.
It had a really good dog park.
The next one I want y'all to think about is, of course, all the private RV parks. Don't forget those. They may be a bit more expensive, but Florida, because it is where all the snowbirds like to come, we have tons of private campgrounds.
Private campgrounds may have a boat ramp, boat docks, some type of amenities, everything right down to possibly kayak launches or rentals, swimming pools, things like that. So certainly something to consider. Many of them are resorts and are priced as a resort, so that is something to consider as well. But most of them will usually have an opening.
Yeah.
If you really want to get into one. One of the biggest private parks that is highly sought after is Disney's Fort Wilderness Campground. We have stayed there. It's very much part of the Disney experience if you're coming to Florida for that.
If you've stayed there, let us know that down in the comments.
Yep. And then last but not least, there, believe it or not, is free camping in Florida.
Yep, we saved the best for last.
Yes, we did. A lot of that is on our water and land management districts. For us over here, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, which covers from Tampa down to the bottom of Florida, the Florida Keys. They have waterways we call the Okeechobee Waterway that actually goes all the way through the state, and there are campgrounds located all along that way that are run by the Southwest Florida Water Management District. May have a hookup, may not, maybe dry camping only. Certainly something to consider.
Right, they're usually in like native Florida areas, pretty rustic, but as long with being dry camping, they might actually have bathhouses, they might have a dump station. Usually they're gonna have a dumpster at least.
Yep, those are free.
Yes. That you can stay at, I think for up to, I know for a week. Some of them might be able to stay up to 2 weeks. So.
Yep. Now, to be fair though, in any campgrounds in Florida, depending on where you're looking at, be prepared for mosquitoes and no-see-ums and gnats and bugs.
Yep.
You're gonna have bugs. We are the Everglades state. There's bugs. There's also certain types of wildlife. You certainly, if you have small dogs and pets, we in Florida know not to walk along any of the creeks, canals, ponds, lakes, and that with those animals. They can be sought after by alligators, and they'll get them. They're very fast.
So with a little research, you can stay in Florida.
There are certainly many opportunities for you to bring your motorhome or your travel trailer down here. We want you guys to come down here. Our state runs on tourist dollars. That's why we're able to do the things that Florida is able to do. The state takes great pride in its state parks and the national parks that are located here. And certainly you can have a totally different experience in Salt Springs up in Ocala than you will in, say, the Florida Keys. We have camped a lot of our backyard here in Florida. We enjoy it. It certainly it gives us the ability to go and just take a few days and go experience something else. So come on down. and enjoy our state.